Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Ultimate Connection with Hashem. Again, this series is based on Jewish meditation and developing your intuition. We are now on part 6, so we're really moving on here in discovering today the art of inner awareness. Inner awareness. Really, what we're going to be discussing is one of the 613 mitzvahs, which is called a Dovkobo, which is called Dveikus. Now we know that the Torah tells us we have to be connected to Hashem. The question is, how do we do that? And today we're going to learn a fascinating way how to connect to Hashem. And in our context, how do we get into a meditation that allows us to get into the spiritual world in a very easy few steps. Okay, so I'm very excited about this. A little bit deep, but a little subtle, very subtle, but a little practice, everybody can achieve this. Okay, everybody up for it? All right. So let's just, for those who are newcomers or looking at the tape here, looking at this video maybe a year or 2 years from now. My name is Rabbi Mimran, and we've been doing it for the last few weeks, these classes on meditation and intuition. If you missed the previous classes, please go back, because we're building up momentum to getting practical with this. Okay, so let's just jump into this. In this lesson, we will be learning about a very powerful and one of my favorite meditational techniques called inner awareness meditation. Maybe some of you are familiar with it or not, but I think you're all going to like this. The key to this particular meditation is to be in a state of permanent connectiveness with your soul, to feel it at all times. This will rapidly deepen and transform your life. If you do this properly, it's going to change your life. The more consciousness you direct into your inner body, the soul, the higher its vibrational frequency becomes, much like a light that glows brighter as you turn on the dimmer switch, and so increases the flow of electricity. Remember, we spoke about this last few classes, how it's very, very important, very crucial to build up that power within you, okay? That vibrational frequency will allow you to ascend into the spiritual world. At this higher energy level, which is the frequency of joy and happiness, remember we spoke about that as well last few classes, negativity cannot affect you anymore. And you then attract new circumstances that reflect that higher level of reality. Okay, in Hebrew we call it midah keneged midah. If you're in a state of joy, more joy is brought to you. If you're in a state of spirituality, more spirituality. That's the way it works. That's the way Hashem created the world. Midah keneged midah. So if you keep your attentions on the inner body as much as possible, you will anchor inwards and you will lose yourself in the external worlds of your mind. Remember, we're trying to move your focus away from the outer and in the inner, away from the mind and into the body. That's the theory over here. Thoughts and emotions and fears and desires may still be there, but they won't take you over, because you'll know how to fluctuate. You'll know how to find that switch inside of you to say, okay, enough with the mind, more into the body. Enough with the thoughts, more into the feeling. Now, the art, and I call it an art because you have to master this. It's not as simple as it sounds, but once you do it, there's a lot of benefits to it. So the art of this inner body awareness will develop into a complete new way of living, a state of permanent connectedness with your true self, and will add a depth to your life that you've never known before. It is easy to stay present as the observer of your mind when you're deeply rooted within the body. Remember, we spoke about that in the previous classes. That was one of the first classes we talked about being the watcher of the mind. That keeps a tab on where you are. No matter what happens on the outside, nothing can shake you because you're totally rooted. Now, unless you stay present and inhabiting your body, you will continue to be run by your mind. The script in your head that you learned a long time ago, the conditioning of your mind, will dictate your thinking and behavior, and you won't be able to meditate. You won't be able to lead your life the way you want to lead it because you're following a script in your mind that you've been conditioned by either your society or your parents or whatever, but you're not allowed to allow yourself to get free and meditate and get into that intuitive space. You have to be free of it for brief, even though you could be free of it for brief moments. For example, if you get involved in a video or something and your total attention, so all your mind thoughts have quietened down, but that's only very rare and it doesn't last very long. This is especially true when things are going wrong or there is something, or there's a loss or an upset. Your conditioned reaction will there be involuntary, automatic, and predictable, fueled by one of the basic emotions that underline the mind identity state consciousness, which is fear. So fear is always the base emotion, I should say. So when you are no longer control of your, well, I should say, if you're not attached to the body, but attached to the mind, if anything goes wrong, you just go down into the emotion of fear. That's the way it always goes. Now, so when such challenges come up in life, and they always do, make it a habit to go within at once and focus as much as you can on the inner soul energy of your body. I will do some exercises soon. I'll show how it's done. This doesn't need to take very long. It's only a few seconds, but you have to take it seriously. You need to take it the moment the challenge, as soon as the challenge presents itself, whatever the challenge in your life is, you have to be able, what I'm going to be teaching today is a default system. Instead of getting reactive to the situation, either getting sad or the fight and flight situation, what you want to do is passively default back into the body, into that stillness. Now, that doesn't mean you don't take action. You can take action, but you'll be taking action from a place of calmness, of quietude. And that way, you'll be able to have a better position on what's happening and a better outcome, as opposed to responding, for example, in anger. Any delay will allow a conditioned mental and emotional reaction to arise and take you over. And therefore, your reaction is not going to come from a good place. And the results, obviously, are not going to be good. When you focus within and feel the inner soul body, you immediately become still and present, and withdrawing the consciousness from the mind back into the body. If a response is required in that situation, it will come from a deeper level of intuitive response. And that's what you're looking for. So just as the sun is infinitely brighter than a candle flame, you can't compare the light that comes from the sun to a candle flame. There is no comparison between the infinitely intelligent soul and your mind. We always think that your mind is the place of intelligence. Well, it's not true. That is where you absorb information and where the program, which is your mind, stipulates what you should be doing. When you go deep into your body and try to feel an answer for whatever question, whatever situation you're trying to get out of or trying to figure out, it's coming from a deeper connectedness to the spiritual world. And that's what we call intuition. And that's infinitely much more intelligent. We call it the universal intelligence that you're tapping into than what you can ever figure out with your mind. So as long as you're in contact with your inner soul body, you're like a tree that is deeply rooted in the earth, or a building with a deep and solid foundation. And why that's important? Because, life tries to bounce you around. And when that happens, you default to your mind. But if you are solidly positioned in your body, no matter what life throws at you, you're constantly redirecting your thoughts back inside, back into the spiritual world, and your decisions are infinitely better and stronger. So let's try a very short exercise over here. And I compare this exercise to driving because there are a lot of details in this exercise. That there's 3 or 4 details that we have to keep in flow with. So let's think about driving for a minute. When you're driving, I think driving is a miracle because there's so many things you have to keep in touch with. You got to obviously focus in front of you, make sure you don't crash into anything in front of you. But you also have to focus what's in back of you, make sure nothing crashes in front of you. In back of you, also your side mirrors, you got to keep them hold. You also have to look at the speedometer, make sure you're not going too fast, not too slow. You have to, if if it's a manual car, you have to look at the shift, make sure you're not going in the right gear. The pedal, the brake, there's so many things going on. Plus, there's your passengers talking to you. Your attention is being spread all over the place, but nevertheless, you still manage. So we are multi-channeled people, multitask people, that we can do many things at one time. And that's what I'm going to be asking you to do in this exercise over here. Okay, so therefore, I want you to become very relaxed, okay? Take a few deep breaths. You don't have to close your eyes for this, okay? Actually, I don't want you to close your eyes. Just keep your eyes open and just find a place where you're comfortable. Your chair, whatever. If you're walking, that's fine as well. And just become relaxed and just conscious of your breath. So take a few deep breaths. And with that, we'll start. What I want you to focus your attention on right now, or your main attention, is what you're doing right now. Either you're walking, sitting, you're listening to my voice, you're reading the notes on the board over here. Whatever it is, that's your main attention. Let's say you're focusing right now on my voice. That's the main attention over here. Point number 2, be casually aware of your surroundings. Other people around you, noises, and so on, all the peripheral things that are happening around you. Be slightly aware, but keep your main focus on my words or on the words on the board. Number 3, be also casually aware of the mental commentary in your minds. You know that judgmental mind? Oh, that person, oh, I'm talking too quickly, I'm talking too slowly. I like what he's saying, I don't like what he's saying. I wish this would go quicker, slower. Whatever that mental chatter is, be aware of it. So and I'm telling you, be aware of 3 different things. Your main focus of what is being said to you, the instructions, let's call that the main focus. Your peripheral focus on who's sitting next to you or who's talking to you, or the noises. 3rd, of what you're thinking in your mind, the background, the background mental commentary in the mind. Think of that as well. So all that's going around, you're sort of shifting your awareness from this to that, but keeping the main focus in front of you. Now, point number 4, I want you to focus in your body. I want you to, as much as you can, focus to feel your body. What is your body feeling at this moment in time? So keep that intention inside your body. Don't let it flow out to the other peripheral places that we spoke about, and try to find and feel that field of energy that makes your body run. Okay? So when that happens, you should be listening or reading with your entire body. So try to focus, shift your attention to those various areas and see the difference, how it feels for you when you're focusing on my voice, when you're focusing on the peripherals, when you're focusing on your mental chatter, when you're focusing within your body. Try to feel in that inner body now, that stillness, that quietude. Try to feel the energy which is running up and down your body, that power within you. And at the same time, I know this is a little bit difficult, at the same time, try to focus on the other awarenesses around you. I'll give you a few minutes for that. Keep on shifting your attention from point of view to point of view. So whatever is happening around of you, that's the peripheral. Whatever happening in front of you, that's the main. But allow some of that awareness to go in as well. Allow some of that awareness to go inside and feel that energy within. Feel that tingling sensation. Okay, good. So I hope you've all had an interesting experience with that. We'll go back into that more into depth in a minute. Whenever you're waiting around, and there's a lot of waiting periods, you know, you can be in traffic or you're waiting in the queue, waiting in, you know, in line in the store or whatever, especially nowadays with the Corona business, everybody's waiting everywhere. It's a good idea to practice this. It gives you time to practice it. So instead of complaining about the waits, go into the inner body. Enjoy the moment, if that's possible. Enjoy the quietude. Enjoy the stillness of your body, that power. Feel the power. We're going to get back to that, how very, very important this point is. Feeling the power inside of you. This is the window to the spiritual world, remember. That way, you're not wasting any time or getting caught with the peripheral of waiting in line, or maybe it's too stuffy where you are and or you're thinking about, oh, I have to get out of here, I have things to be doing, but rather focusing your total attention in the inner body is very, very beneficial. If at any time you are feeling it, it's hard to get in touch with your inner body, it is usually easier to focus on your breath first. Okay, so that we've done quite a few times, is that if you feel there's just too many distractions, focus on your breath. Your breath, the inhalation, conscious breathing which is powerful, is a powerful meditation on its own right, will gradually put you into the body. Follow the breath with the intention as it moves in and out of your body. Breathe into the body and feel your abdomen expanding and contracting slightly with each inhalation and exhalation, as we practiced before in the previous classes. So you listen to the breath coming in, out, until that gets you focused into the body. Now, the challenge of overcoming the mind. Now, we all know the mind is the most powerful tool we have. It's the most precious tool we have because without the mind, you can't function in this physical universe. But the challenge in our perspective here of getting into the spiritual worlds, connecting to Hashem, the challenge is to overcome the script in your head that you learned for a long time. The conditioning in your mind will dictate your thinking and your behaviors. Whether you've been conditioned socially, economically, you've been conditioned because of your family upbringing, rich, poor, whatever the condition was, the conditioning, one has to free himself if you want any success in meditation, any success in intuition, in spiritual achievements, in mystical experience, you have to get out of your head. You may be free for a brief interval, but rarely for long. This is especially true when something goes wrong or something you have a loss or an upset, then it won't work at that point. Your conditioned reaction will be involuntary, automatic, and predictable, fueled by one of the basic emotions, as we spoke beforehand, which is fear. So we want to get out of that as much as possible. So when such a challenge comes, as always they do, make it a habit to go within at once and focus as much as you can on the inner soul energy of your body. This is so, so powerful here. This need not take a long time, just a few seconds. You need to do it at the moment the challenges present themselves, and it's going to save you a lot of suffering and anguish and anxiety if you're able to do this, if you master this. Any delay will allow a conditioned mental, emotional reaction to arise and take you over. When you focus within and feel the inner body, you immediately become still and present. As you are withdrawing consciousness from the mind, if a response is required, come from a better, deeper place. I think we already said this. Now, just as the sun is infinitely brighter than a candle, I think these are just repetitions of what we said beforehand. But what we're trying to do over here is that you're trying to reclaim consciousness from the mind. I'll repeat that. You're reclaiming consciousness from the mind. Okay, you're displacing the conscious awareness, which is who you are really, is only your conscious awareness, from captitude, being trapped in your head, to a place of freedom. That's what we're trying to establish over here. As well as accomplishing this tremendous connection with your neshama is exactly the mitzvah of one of the 613 mitzvahs, which is called the Dov Kobo, to attach to a creator. It's one of the commandments that we have as Jewish people, is to connect with the creator. A lot of the commentaries ask, how do you connect to Hashem if he's fire? He's compared to fire. Well, this is the way it's done. The Kabbalists explain to us. This is one of the greatest mitzvahs of all the 613 mitzvahs. The Gemara in Sota states that each mitzvah creates a powerful force field that protects the person who is performing the mitzvah and keeps them safe from any negative influence. What I'm trying to communicate to you here today is that although every mitzvah guards, megin, and also saves umatzil, a person, becoming aware of your inner body, your neshama, which is ultimately the connection to Hashem, or facilitates the connection to Hashem, will amplify this segula, this effect, tremendously. That's why it's one of the greatest mitzvahs you can ever do, is this connection with Hashem. Now, the inner soul energy of your body that we've been talking about until now is the bridge between your inner you and the Creator, God. It lies halfway between the manifested, the material world, and the unmanifested, the spiritual world, the link between the unmanifested and the physical world. Because as soon as you go inside, remember, we said this beforehand, the spiritual world is not outside of you. You're not taking a rocket ship to go to the spiritual world. You're not going anywhere. You're actually the window to the spiritual world is your inner self. And that's why the meditation is so powerful, because you're focusing inwards into that unmanifested world. So if you take your attention deeply into the inner body, you may reach this point, this singularity, where the world dissolves into the unmanifested. And the unmanifested take on a form of energy stream, which then becomes the spiritual world. I think we've all felt this at one point, when in a deep meditation, you just feel like your total energy, because you're going into that. Then when your consciousness comes back to the manifested world, you open your eyes, you come out of that meditation, you resume the form and identity that you temporarily relinquished. You again have a name, you have a past, you have a life situation, a future. It's like you're reborn. Even though a minute ago you were pure energy. It's interesting. You just went from a world of meditation, which is unmanifested pure energy, and you're coming out of that to become a form again. It's as if you were reborn again. Remember, you are where your thoughts are. Energy flows where your thoughts flow. That's very, very important, very powerful. So therefore, try to do this as often as possible. As you go about your life, don't give 100% to the attention of the external world and your mind, because it draws us in, the social media and, everything that's happening out there just pulls us out of any concentration and is sucking us out of our energy. Keep some energy within you. Feel the inner soul body. When engaged in everyday activities, especially when engaging in relationships or when you are connecting with nature, feel the stillness deep inside of you. Keep the doorway open. It's quite possible to be conscious of the unmanifested throughout your life. You feel it as deep sense of peace somewhere in the background, a stillness that never leaves you. No matter what happens out there, you become a bridge between the unmanifested and manifested, between Hashem's world and your world. And we have that ability. We're so incredibly gifted with that ability. People think it's a phenomenal feat, but really it's so simple to connect with the spiritual world and receive intuitive information when it's all inside of us. This state of connectedness with Source is what we call Dveikus. And this is what we're trying to achieve with this inner body awareness meditation. Life can be compared to an ocean. Sometimes it's very calm. The ocean is very calm, but sometimes it's the winds and the sea is so turbulent. According to the cycles and the seasons, it goes up and down. But deep down in the water, the ocean is always undisturbed. You are like that ocean. The outer situation of your life, what happens there is like the surface of the ocean. Life seems to be constantly moving you up and down, up and down, up and down. But the true depth in you remains absolutely still. I really like that analogy because it's so true. As soon as we feel, a lot of us, as soon as we feel a little bit overwhelmed with the situation, we go into a meditation and we feel that tremendous depth and quietude that we need to collect ourselves. Your inner peace does not necessarily depend on your outer peace. Your soul essence is unchanging, timeless, deathless. You are not dependent for fulfillment or happiness on the outside world, which is constantly fluctuating with change. You can enjoy the world, you can play with it, you can create new things and situations and appreciate the beauty of it all, but you don't have to get attached to it or get involved with it to that point where you lose yourself. Now, let's try one more exercise. It's going to be a little bit more intense now. Okay, is everybody up for it? All right, let's do it. Now, this time I want you to try to close your eyes. Okay, Ari, I knew you were outside, but do your best maybe to sit on a bench or something and try to close your eyes and direct your attention into your body. So what I want you to do, I want you to feel it. Feel your inner body. Is it alive? Is there life in your hands? Feel the inner energy in your hands. The inner energy in your arms, your legs, your feet, your abdomen, your chest. Try it now to consciously bring your awareness from the outside to the inside and feel the power of that very powerful energy force within you. Can you feel the subtle energy that pervades the entire body and gives vibrant life to every organ and every cell? Try to feel that. Can you feel it simultaneously in all parts of your body as a single field of energy? Keep focusing on the feeling of your inner body for a few moments. Don't start to think about it, just feel it. Don't label it. Don't give it a name. Just try to feel it. And don't get emotionally attached. Now, the more attention you give it, the clearer, the stronger that power grows in you. It will feel as if every cell in your body is becoming more alive now that you have total focus and consciousness towards that. Try not to form any images, since no matter how beautiful or powerful, it will already define and form, so there is less scope for penetrating more deeply. We want to be in that timeless, formless space. If you cannot feel very much at this stage, pay attention to whatever you can feel. Perhaps it's just a slight tingling in your hands or feet. That's good enough for the moment. Just focus on that feeling. Just feel the tingling feeling in your hands or your feet. Feel that energy? That's the power within. Then take your attention even more deeply into that feeling. Become one with it. Emerge with the energy so that there is no longer a perceived duality of the observer and the observed, of you and your body. You now become one with that energy. The distinction between inner and outer also dissolves now. There is no inner body anymore. By going deeply into the body, you now transcend the body. You become a pure source of energy. That's your soul power. Now concentrate on that. Give it a few minutes and try to concentrate on that. Powerful, powerful inner source energy of yours. Without labeling it, without giving it any form. Get to recognize the feeling of it. That's the first stage. And then go deeply into it. This is your window into the spiritual world. This is the power, the fuel, which will get you there. Okay, good. When you're ready, become aware again of your physical body, your breathing, and physical senses, and then open your eyes. Now, be careful. Look at your surroundings for a few minutes in a meditative state. This is very important. That is, without labeling them mentally, and continue to feel the inner soul body as you do so. So just look around, now coming out of this very powerful, powerful energy field, and look at things without labeling them with the eyes of your soul. Try to see the energy within all things and the connectiveness of all things together. Beautiful. Okay. So that is the arts of the inner body meditation. Now, it might seem very simple, very simplistic, but it's so, so powerful. And the more you practice this, the stronger the energy field grows within you. And that's the power, again, which connects you to the spiritual world. So as a final note, and as I always tell you, it's important that in order to be successful in these meditations, it should be done a few minutes daily, and there should be a commitment to continue the practice for a period of at least 30 days. It usually takes between 30 and 40 days to see results, so be patient with yourself, okay? So in summary, so what did we learn? We learned about this new meditation, which is, I think, the simplest, but one of the most powerful meditations you can ever do. It's called the inner body meditation, which is the inner body meaning the soul, the connection to the soul, feeling the inner body. The state of consciousness is the window to the spiritual dimension. We learned how meditation, which is the way to enter the other dimensions, doesn't have to be only with your eyes closed in a lengthy meditation for hours and hours. No, it can be simply with a switch of a button in your mind to get into that inner body, and already you're there. Simple as that. We also learn how your inner body is infinitely more intelligent than your mind. And that is your source of intuition. So to power, we're learning meditation and intuition. How to develop the intuition. This is the way to develop your intuition. Intuition meaning getting into that universal intelligence, plugging into there, is through this manner. Quieting the mind, getting into the body, allowing that power to build up, connecting to the spiritual world automatically, and waiting for that information, whatever information you're looking for. Simple as that. Now, for homework, as I always tell you as well, you got to practice. Practice being the watch of the thoughts. Be mindful, very important, and attentively and intensely aware of the inner body. Try as you're going through the day, walking around. People, you're engaging with people, you're outside, inside, from time to time, refocus your attention inwards. The more you do that, it becomes second nature. And of course, elevating your frequency of joy and through music, as we learned last week, that just really gives you a very, very big head start on things. Well, I just want to thank everybody then for joining our seminar today, or tonight, wherever you are. And if you want to catch up on the classes that you missed, go to our YouTube channel on Yeshivat Achen. Okay, and I will see you next week. Thank you for coming.